haven't hopped on the mic in a good bit, but I'm in a hotel. We are a day away from the start of the playoffs. We made the playoffs. We made a 1-game wild card, and we actually claimed home field advantage by winning 12 straight. I wanted to hop on here and just go over. For some reason, I was like in a mood to respond to some comments this morning on TikTok. Yeah. All right. Let's dive in. So I get these a lot. Keep them coming. I don't care. Anyways, yeah, 2022 season, not my best. All right. The reason why I started my brand and the reason why I do a lot of the things that I do is to inspire and obviously educate, but is to show like how much joy this game can bring. Now, if I am a product of my performance, in which is a game that built on failure, then I'm probably not going to be like the best person. So I'm not going to do that. And I fear that the society that we live in today with social media and the access to a lot of other people's different opinions is affecting the amount of people that are going to attempt to play this game built on failure because they fear of failing. So then they fear of other people's perspective. Not me. Because one, there's just a whole lot of need for positivity and encouragement on social media. Two, I needed to produce some content. Three, I don't often respond to comments. I actually don't even really look at comments all too often. We'll dive into that, and as we dive into this whole podcast video thing, whatever it's going to end up on, but we'll make sure to let you guys know. And four, I want to encourage those younger, I want to encourage the youth that are seeing that stuff on that platform. So this is going to be a talk, simply maybe 10, 15 minutes. Who knows? I know I could talk, but I want to just get some things off my chest. I don't know where this is going to go. Hopefully this impacts your life. Hopefully it encourages you. And I know it can be really cliche when we talk about like make the world a better place and, spread positivity and all this stuff. But I want to tie it into where I see fit within the game of baseball and the ever so precedent down slope trajectory that baseball is on, as it pertains to just like overall entertainment and overall just enjoyment or even just participation in the sport, right? So we can open up with that. All right. So I responded to one particular comment this morning that was someone said something about my ERA this year and how I can't believe he still makes videos, or I wish he was good because of the amount of videos or something along those lines. And let's preface by saying this stuff, I've said this in a podcast before talking about building a brand and what it takes to build a brand. This stuff doesn't bother me. I've always been equipped with this kind of, I don't really care what anyone thinks. I wear a beard bun. I walk, outside shoeless and shirtless. That's just who I am. And, shout out to my parents for instilling that in me. Not everyone is like that. So it's important to, if you're somebody that loves the game of baseball and you want to see more people fall in love with the game and you want to see the popularity of the sport increase, then start thinking about what the youth is seeing on social media and what people are commenting on it. All right. So let's break this down. Baseball, in my biased opinion, is the hardest sport. It's always going to be you versus you, no matter what. Right. But at the same time, you're also competing against someone that's also very, very good at the sport. Right. And I've always kind of said this as it pertains to my other favorite sport in basketball. And I don't mean to say this in any negative connotation or disrespect towards those who play basketball, but I think basketball is very easy, and I think football is very easy. It's the opponent that makes those sports extremely difficult. But the task of putting a ball in a hoop or throwing a ball to a person, those tasks are somewhat simplistic. Whereas baseball, the task in and of itself, right? Like golf, for example, the task in and of itself is just difficult, right? Like throwing a ball where you want it to go in a very tiny vicinity, and then like hitting a ball, right? Like it's been said multiple times, hitting is one of the hardest tasks to do in sports. So this game is extremely difficult, right? And the opponents are going to make that even more difficult. And not to mention, it's a game that is built on failure, right? Hitters, you hear it all the time. You fail 7 times out of 10, you are a all-star, right? Not so much for like pitchers, right? Like we can't really have a phrase for that. But so the other level to that is the increase in talent and skill within the sport over, the past decade or so, right? Like you're seeing it on the grand scale with Major League Baseball, and you're seeing all these guys now that, are throwing harder, that are bigger without steroid usage, that are hitting balls further without steroid usage, and the advancements in like technology and player development, skill acquisition, all this stuff over the years to just increase the level of competition within the sport. Then on top of that, you have the decrease in opportunities at the affiliated baseball level, right? So minor league or major league took away multiple levels for each organization, and it basically took away job opportunities. So then that trickled down and funneled into independent baseball, where you now have absolute studs playing in independent baseball. So where I originally wanted to go with that first statement, I know I kind of like branched off, and I should have wrote some stuff down just to keep this organized. But where I was originally going to start that off with was the whole like in response to the like, oh, this guy had a 5 whatever ERA, he sucks, like don't listen to him, blah 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 thing. The reason why I started what I started, and the reason why I'm so adamant and passionate about doing the things that I do with my brand, is to inspire, obviously, to educate, obviously, but it is to showcase this idea that it is okay to fail, right? Like we're not going to strive to fail. Like we're not going to just fail and be like, oh, this is great, I love this. Like no one loves that. But I want to instill this understanding of it is okay to fail, right? Because when you're in this perception of it not being okay to fail, and in this idea of like, all right, I'm going to wrap my identity around my performance, right? Then you're probably not going to love that thing that is making you fail over and over again, right? So it's important to understand that within failure are just great lessons, not just in a sport, but in life in general, right? Like it teaches you how to control and take ownership of your emotions. It teaches you that there's a number of different things in life that is beyond your control, but there are still components that are within your control, and that it should be emphasized to control those components. Like you hear it probably often, like baseball is so beautiful in that it is literally, prepping you for like the real world. You can do everything quote unquote right, but not be guaranteed to have a good outcome or result, right? And it humbles you throughout that failing process. But with the ERA comment, like it's cool. Like I'm a man of faith, and it's cool seeing God, like what he's doing through me this year, and like allowing me to fail, to be a man of to basically be a man of the message that I'm sending across to people. And it's that failure is such a huge, important piece to growth, right? Without that, so if like you have somebody that fears failure, then you have someone that's going to limit their amount of growth and limit the amount of information that they can gather. And it's also going to, as it pertains to the sport in baseball, so like, let's just break this down, right? So like the youth has access to phones now, and they're seeing all these comments, and they're seeing, you know, this guy comment on all my stuff, or multiple people comment on all my stuff about, you know, oh, this guy sucks. He's going to see that and be like, man, I don't want to get that hate. Like, I don't want to fail. Like, I'm not going to play that sport. Like, I'm going to go away from that. So now, like, you're giving this image, or this message, right, without even probably intentionally doing it, not even realizing it, that is saying to the youth, like, don't fail, right? Like, you cannot fail, because then you will get made fun of, and then you'll be the laughing stock of TikTok, right? Like, oh, get a load of this guy, you know, like, he's sucking, ha, right? Like, it's bullying, it's harassment. We can go on and on all day about like an athlete's mental health, and I think I'm 100% going to do that, because it's a real thing, and we need to bring awareness to it. But again, like, be you, right? Like, people are going to comment what they comment. People are going to voice their opinion. Like, I understand that, but just like, remember that the world is a very dark place, right? We're living in very weird times, right? And even if we don't recognize it, even if we don't realize it, like, we have so much power and influence in the palm of our hand with this phone, right? Like, whether you think about it or whether you believe this or not, like, if you have a phone and you have social media and you have a desire to comment, then you have power to influence and impact a person's day, week, month, year, life, right? And why not use that power and leverage that to make the world a better place, man? Right? Like, that's so much power. And I know it's like so geeky to think about, and I know it's probably on such a, you know, little scale with one comment. Everyone's probably going to perceive that as like, oh, I'm just behind my keyboard typing this thing, and like, no one's going to think anything of it, right? But you do, you really do. And again, for me, within the sport of baseball and the things that I do online, it's like my biggest encouragement. Like, no, like, one, find your passion, find what you're passionate about. Because here's the thing, right? Like, everyone, there's another comment that I responded to today about, like, you need to give it up. Like, you need to stop playing. You suck. Okay. What? Because here's the thing, right? Like, I'm living out a passion. This is a dream of mine. Maybe I might not make it to the highest level that I intended. Doesn't mean I'm a failure. Like, I got to play over a decade of professional baseball. I get to wake up every day, get out of bed, and be like, I get to play baseball today. Like, what the heck? Like, it's an absolute dream. Why would anyone knock that? So if you're an individual, like, you know, whether you're an athlete or whatever, find your passion, find what brings you joy, and do it for a living. Because what happens when you do that? Okay, you do the same thing. You wake up, you get out of bed, and you're genuinely excited to attack your day because you get to do something that you love. Now, what does that do? That makes you the best possible version of yourself, which now is going to then put you in a better spot, in a better place to positively go out and impact the world, right? Like, when you're your best version of yourself and you're happy and you're in a joyful state and you're mindful and you're grateful and all these things, like, the people around you are going to feed off that energy. Now, the flip side of that is you don't, right? And then you look forward to, like, spreading hate on social media and dogging on people that are living out their passion. And then that does the exact opposite. It spreads this negative energy, this draining, we call them energy vampires, to the world. And now they're their worst version of themselves. And now that person goes out and goes into his day. And it's, I don't know if you can see the ripple effect there. So I know I can, like, branch off and talk about 400 different things here, but I think it's your responsibility as a human being to desire feeling fulfilled and finding purpose. And I believe, again, we don't have to like fact check this or prove that I'm wrong or prove that I'm right, whatever. Like, I just believe that you find ultimate fulfillment and purpose when you do things for other people. Like, I challenge you, instead of writing that hateful thing, write something encouraging, and then what do you feel? It's amazing how much it can change not only your life, but others around you. It can be a selfish motive too, if you really think about it. I want to feel good. I want to find purpose. I want to find joy. I'm going to go around and look for opportunities to do something for someone else. Great. Then it's selfish, but you still do that, and then that person's going to feel that. Like, it's the same thing with, like, if you go through a bridge, you pay the toll for the person behind you. All right, that person is like, okay, I'm just going to pay even, and then hey, you can just give it to the person behind me. And then all of a sudden what you have is you have this one person in a car that goes, man, like, I don't have any money today. And the toll person goes, oh, well, people have been paying it forward, so you're good to go. Wow, that person was having a bad day and then got picked up by another person of society. That, my friends, is beautiful. And that's our responsibility. It's our due diligence to do that, right? Because if we keep doing the opposite, the world's not going to become any brighter. It's not going to become any lighter. It's not going to be a great place for you to raise your kid. You know, like, that's a lot there. So yeah, responding to comments this morning, wanted to get something out there in the open. I don't know if anyone's going to listen to this. I don't know if it's going to impact anyone, but it's my responsibility, or I feel a sense of responsibility. So yeah, 2022 regular season wasn't good. It sucked, right? Like, performance wise, I'm saying ERA in the 5s, very low strikeouts, very high walks. Like, it wasn't good. I learned a lot about myself, right? Like, I had moments of greatness, and I had moments of the absolute opposite of greatness. But it's okay. I still love it. I find more purpose for the way that I respond and my character when in response to, say, failure. I find more purpose in it than I do to go out and like throw a no-hitter every time. Because I think when it comes to growth and when it comes to inspiring others and encouraging others within the game of baseball and within life, it's not so much about like, man, this guy is just really, really, really good. He never gives up a hit, never gives up a run. I think there's more growth in like, man, that guy gets freaking kicked to the curb every single time, but he finds a way to get back up, dust himself off, and go out there for another one, and just looks like he's having a blast. Yeah. Sign me up. Love you guys. See ya.